What's up, guys? It's me, Pez Flips, and today is a very exciting day. And that's because I have something that has come into the mail. And that something is, I would say, really cool. Now, if you've seen my channel for a while, you know that this thing is what I've been flipping the most in terms of like performing tricks and whatnot. I've been using the arm shark handles with DI blade, and while the DI false live blade is interesting and provided something that there was a gap in the market for, which I'm surprised it took so long to happen, but there were a lot of issues with this. The undersized bushings from the start, kind of bad tolerances, you needed to tune it a lot, and aspects of the blade itself were a little rough, causing it to have some issues with like the pivot area being a little rough as well. So basically, it wasn't a great option. If you really wanted the arm shark handle experience with like a live blade, there might have been a better avenue for the cost. But, it was DI's first product. But anyways, in the past, we had the V3 Bally plus Tsunami, and it was a main competitor between, at the time, the One. So the One, they obviously had theirs on floating washers. I flipped that for a while, and the tolerances are not good. Not to mention it's pinsless, so if you really mained it for a long time, you would lose that gap, which is unfortunate. Even though the fact that the balance was really good, it just didn't feel that premium. Now, if you can get the tolerances drilled into this guy, it'll feel really premium, and the mill lines do look really good. The focus is going crazy right now. It does look good, despite the fact that I do beat this thing. And when I look at the new V4 model, from what I've seen on like the TikToks and whatnot, I understand that it's a 1-to-1 model, and it has milling lines on the blade itself. So we now have an actual competitor that's going to provide a quality product. The V3 was like one of those things that was a little chunkier, needed a lot of work. You could customize it, and it had the live blade on bushings, but it required a lot of love. Whereas my understanding for this guy is that it's going to be kind of a little bit more out of the box, if you will. So I got this guy from Balisong, and came in this guy in the box with this guy below and in the box. I've already opened it up because I did record once and then I couldn't get the focus to work, but I only held it for like 2 seconds, so there we go. You can see it's very shiny. If we keep it up against the other one, you can tell that it is, this is the arm shark handles, and this is the Bally Plus V4. So you can see that there is a seam line, whereas this one, they're kind of the same. If I look close, the gap on the arm shark is maybe a little bit tighter, but nothing too crazy. The texture, this has, I would argue, like a coating. You can kind of see it right there. On top of the titanium itself, which some people say gives you like more grip, but I would argue it can sometimes get in the way. Like if you use lotion at all to, like, I don't know, take care of your skin maybe, then flipping this guy can be really slippery at times. So maybe this will be better in that performance. The screws look pretty good as well. Yeah, they're a lot deeper in color, haven't really faded too much. Overall, I like the look of these handles more because it has an actual polished look. This one is polished, but not nearly as much, and I prefer that look. It looks a bit more glossy. So if we open it up, we can see. I don't know if that'll show up on the camera. Let me change the lens to the 2. You can see that there are milling lines here, and that's a live edge. Feels pretty sharp. The milling lines here go on the top side as well. Don't know if the ISO is going to pick it up. If we come over here to the light, it might show up better. Oh, that's a scuffed review, kind of. But there you go. Squid Industries, so it's lying about where it's made from, which is a little unfortunate. That blade profile does look very clean. And you'll be able to notice that on the inside there is jeweling. The jeweling isn't like the most beautiful jeweling in the world. Let's get back to the autofocus. The jeweling is not the best in the world, but you know, it's providing something. It definitely looks interesting, like when you go up from here. If you look at it up close, you can kind of tell that it's not the best, but okay, first flips. Let's change the lens. We're back. Okay. Maybe a tiny little bit of play on that handle. Tiny, no tap. That's the tolerances we're looking at. Yeah, just a little bit of a wiggle. Not that bouncy. Feels like the bushings might need to get, or the washers themselves might need to get broken in a little bit more. First thing I'll notice, the sound. The sound is good. It's definitely muted. I've heard some real ones, and they're a lot louder. I'm sure that this thing will break in with time, and the sound will be better. The swing, let me hold it from there. Yeah, seems like it's a little stiff, maybe. Interesting, but what it is. Now, jimping's obviously going to be the same, could be really bad. But in terms of like the overall smoothness of this, I noticed that it's just as comfortable as the other Armshock handles. I think there are a few areas that feel a little bit more round. Obviously, this being a one-to-one model, it feels more realistic to the original. When I flipped the original in the booth, I was surprised by how grippy it was. And this one, it's not as grippy as that for sure, but it definitely still has it. I do prefer this sound though. I've always considered the oh, see, it's starting to break in a little bit. I've always considered the Tsunamis to have, like, if you could describe it in one word, it'd be slate. Like, they have a really interesting sounding, because it's a Chanwich, you know, it's going to sound really interesting. This is just the same. Seems like the safe handle's a little bit better on its tolerance. Very bouncy though. From what I understand, you can also take this blade and put it on the Armshock handles. You'll just have to tune the blade appropriately, because I think the hardware there is a little bit non-standard since it's on Armshock's hardware. But this is a one-to-one, meaning that you could swap out the hardware with real Squid hardware. And I mean, I think I would keep these screws if I were you, because if you really want to get the real Squid hardware, it's titanium, which means it strips more, and I don't think you guys are going to actually want that. So far, let's see how sharp it is. They cut a hair. It's not as sharp as I was expecting, but first impressions, very grippy for what it is offering. Almost the exact same balance as the DI. If I go back to this one, it feels like there's a little bit more weight in the maybe the middle of the blade, more maybe the tip of the blade. If I come back to this guy, yeah, the blade itself feels a little bit lighter on this than it does on that one. So I would say let's do the balance test. Yeah, you see a little bit of handle bias, just a touch, but pretty neutral. And the fans feel really smooth, no issues there. Let's hit a Chaplin. Chaplin's pretty tight. I feel like it's wanting to get away just a little bit, maybe a little bit more than the DI blade. Yeah, I can definitely tell that with more time, this thing is going to break in and sound a lot better. Obviously, it doesn't have oil in it, so we'll have to wait and see, but I'm really excited to keep flipping this. This is going to be my safe queen. I'm not going to take this one out. That guy's going to be my ugly, dirty, gross beater king, like I said previously. And this guy's obviously dry, so maybe the sound test isn't the most accurate, but if we're going by just feel, obviously this one's going to feel a bit more familiar to me because I've been flipping it so much, but I can tell that at times this is definitely a little bit more unwieldy. The blade at times almost feels blade bias, whereas this feels a little lighter, just a smidge lighter. And obviously it's just the tiniest little bit thicker than these arm shark handles. Not by anything noticeable. I think it's like a millimeter or something stupid like that, but the cutout areas do feel like they're not rougher, like they actually are still smooth, but they feel like they give a little bit more bite than these guys do. You know what, actually? I think they might be smoother on this one. Yeah, it seems like the inside cutouts of these have been chamfered a bit better than the arm shark one. I would say that the texture is ever so slightly higher on the Bali Plus, in my opinion. But yeah, obviously this is first impressions, so we'll see how this guy holds up over time, but so far I'm very happy with it. From flipping an original, I think the only no, I think the only thing that would be different is the sound is a bit more pronounced than the other one, so maybe if I can get some stainless steel washers in here eventually, we'll be able to get its truest potential. But very exciting, really happy with this. If you have a chance and you don't have a Tsunami yet of any other clone, I would really recommend this. If you want the live blade, if you want the trainer, I would probably still recommend getting the arm shark one, just because the tolerances are going to probably be better. You're going to have less of a risk of having an issue. Personally, I've never had any issues with tolerances with Bali Plus knives, but I know that they have a reputation for that, whereas arm shark generally has a really good consumer opinion about their tolerances. So if you're worried about that and you don't want the live blade, I would still go with the arm shark. But if you want the live blade, and honestly, like, I would be tempted to say still get the Bali Plus one, because it's a 1-to-1, meaning if you wanted to like pick up a blade secondhand or something, you could upgrade it into the live. I mean, I guess you could still do that with the arm shark. I don't know, tough call. I would say that if you are looking for the most authentic looking, like pretty knife, I would still recommend this. I think this looks better than any of the other Tsunamis out there. But if you just want something that's like good tolerances, flips well, and you know, looks like the original, with, I guess overall, if you prioritize tolerances more, get the arm shark. If you're looking for live and 1-to-1 compatibility, then the Bali Plus is going to be the way to go. But yeah, it's been me. Should I do the scissor? I'm kind of worried on the live. Oh, doesn't matter. But I'll see you guys later. Bye.